At my son's birthday, my nephew stole his gift and everyone laughed, so I took the car keys and my power back. Hi, I'm Jack, 38, and I've spent most of my life being the reliable one. The helper. The guy who doesn't raise his voice and always has duct tape in his glove box. But let me tell you what happened the day my 7-year-old son learned the world doesn't always clap for the quiet kid. It started with a birthday party. It ended with a car key dangling off my finger and a family silence so thick it might still be echoing. Leo wanted a trampoline party. Not a backyard cake thing, a full-on Sky Zone bonanza with orange socks and sweaty kids shrieking on foam pits. I booked the venue. Dropped $1,450 on my Discover card. Bought a half chocolate, half vanilla sheet cake from Merit's, buttercream blue, with little Lego men piped on top. I even snagged a Costco fruit tray no one touched because I guess grapes aren't exciting when you're bouncing for cupcakes. I got there early. Blew up balloons. Taped streamers. Set out napkins with tiny superheroes. My ex, Jess, Leo's mom, brought juice boxes and that co-parent smile she wears like a badge of honor. And then, right on cue, in strolled my sister Bree, an hour late, ring light in one hand, helium balloon in the other. Content. She sang like it was a holy word. Her son, Evan, was glued to her leg, already asking when he could open his present. Spoiler, there was no present for Evan. I bought Leo a phone. I know, 7 is young. But he walks to the bus stop every other week at my place, and since the dog incident in March, he's been scared. So Jess and I agreed on a starter iPhone SE, $429 with tax. I added a $5 case with little planets on it, because Leo thinks Saturn has cool rings. It was a gift from me to him. Simple. Clear. Until it wasn't. When Leo got to the Apple bag, his eyes went wide. You know the look that, is this real? Kind of wide. I pulled the bag close and said, this one's from Dad. And just as Leo's hand reached for the paper, Evan swooped in like a raccoon at a cookout. Ripped the paper. Popped the lid. Held the phone over his head and shouted, mine now! Everyone laughed. Someone clapped. Leo stood there, frosting on his lip, eyes wide, but not the magic kind anymore. The hurt kind. The kind where you can't even cry because you're trying to figure out if the grown-ups around you are actually going to fix it. Dad didn't even look up from his paper plate. Just muttered, don't make a scene. It's just an iPhone. Jess squeezed my arm. I hugged Leo. Told him, sure, buddy. And when he leaned into me like a tired backpack, I didn't scream. I didn't snatch the phone back. I didn't flip the table and ruin the Paw Patrol plates. I just noted the time, 4:37 p.m. And the look on Bree's face, like she'd planned the whole thing. Later that night, I stood in Bree's driveway with her car keys dangling from my finger. Mine now, I said. She blinked. What? I smiled. Relax. It's just a car. And that, my friend, is when everything started. But before I tell you what happened when the receipts came out and the truth hit the table harder than Evan's little raccoon grab, let me back up. Because this story? It's about a phone, sure. But really, it's about value. About the kind of love that only counts when it's quiet, and the moment I stopped being quiet. Let me paint you the family picture. I'm the older brother by 3 years, which apparently means I got handed the emotional toolbox while Bree got the spotlight and a list of excuses. Bree, 35, single mom, TikTok makeup lives, and the queen of, can I borrow just until Friday? She's got opinions like confetti, everywhere, loud, impossible to clean up. 2 quick examples to make this clear. When she sideswiped a mailbox in high school, Mom called it senioritis and took her to Dairy Queen. When I scratched Dad's truck backing out of the driveway, he took my keys for a month and said I needed to learn respect. When Bree forgot to pay her utility bill last winter, Dad Venmo'd her $350 with a hang in there message. When I mentioned I was tight after Leo's ER visit, Mom told me to budget better. That's the world I grew up in. I don't say that for pity. I say it because I want you to understand the climate before the storm. And that iPhone? That was my line in the sand. Except I didn't draw it that night. Not right away. That night, I just stood in the Sky Zone lobby, still holding the receipt for the party, and watching the team behind the desk blink at the $1,187.36 balance. Because of course Bree added extra pizzas. And pitchers of Sprite. And socks. And changed the head count last minute so we got slapped with an event fee. Of course. Do you want to split the bill? The kid asked, kind. I looked around. My dad was busy folding napkins into triangles like he was at a wedding. My mom was trying to soothe Jess, who was quietly seething. Bree was filming Evan peeling off the iPhone plastic with a caption that read, "Best uncle ever." I smiled at the kid, slid my card into the reader, and said, "It's fine. 15% tip. Because I'm not cruel." Leo didn't ask about the phone once when we got home. He helped Jess build the Lego set she bought. He giggled, told her he was going to name the spaceman Chad. And only once, did he mumble, "Do you think Evan will let me borrow it sometimes?" That nearly broke me. I checked my phone later that night, 8:52 p.m., to be exact, and saw the Apple ID alert. "Your line Evan has been activated on a new device. Line nickname Evan. Activation time, 5:12 p.m. The moment I'd let go of that box and let the room laugh. I took screenshots. 2, actually. One for the full email. One with the IMEI visible. I saved them in a folder on my notes app labeled Family. At 9:14 p.m., Bree texted me a video of Evan doing an unboxing. Caption: "You slayed, big bro." I typed back, "We need to talk." Then I backspaced. Because talking hadn't worked for years. Talking always got met with, "Don't be dramatic," or "Relax," or "That's just how family is." So instead, I opened my AT&T app. Primary line, me. Secondary line, spare. The one I opened 2 years ago when Bree's last phone got cut off and she swore it was temporary. She never paid a cent. I hit suspend line. The app asked if I was sure. I was. At 9:22 p.m., Bree called. No greeting. "What did you just do?" I suspended the spare. I said, "You're being dramatic." She huffed. "Evan needs that for school. He's in 4th grade, Bree." Ugh. I knew you were going to get weird about this. "I'm not weird," I said. "I'm done." She hung up. 2 minutes later, I got the "Your line has been reactivated" email. Apparently, she called Dad. Apparently, he called AT&T like a damn senator and got it turned back on because I'd listed him as account recovery contact 2 years ago when I worked night shifts and needed fraud alerts handled. That was on me. So I changed that too. New recovery contact? Jess. New passcode? Written on a sticky note only I could read, in my lockbox with the passports and the lease. Then I opened my Chase app. May spending summary. Zelle to Dad, $800 on May 3rd memo. Evans Camp. ATM withdrawal, $600 on May 14th. I remember. Bree's car insurance was about to lapse again. $1,400 in 2 weeks. $7,500 since January. I added it to the family note. No interest. No thank you text that didn't come with a winky face. Then I printed every receipt. The party. The phone. The transfers. The insurance policy I still paid on her Hyundai Elantra, which, by the way, is titled in my name. And I made coffee for the morning. Because I wasn't going to raise my voice. I was going to raise the receipts. 9:30 a.m. sharp, Sunday morning. My place. I told them it was breakfast. No warning, no agenda. Just. Need 10 minutes. Family meeting. Mom hearted the text like I'd written a sweet invitation. Dad replied, "Do you need us to bring anything?" I told him no. What I needed was for them to sit. Jess poured coffee. Leo was at a friend's house. The kitchen table was cleared. Stack of black and white printouts sitting center stage, held down by a salt shaker like it was evidence in a polite trial. They walked in just like I knew they would. Dad in his Utah hoodie. Mom with a bag of grapes. Bree in sunglasses like my kitchen lights were paparazzi. She barely sat before saying, "This better not be an ambush." "It's breakfast," I said. 10 minutes. Mom opened the grapes. No one ate them. I slid the first sheet across the table to Dad. Because he likes things with bullet points and formatting. "What's this?" he asked, scanning. AT&T activation. I said. Line nickname Evan. Activated 5:12 p.m. yesterday. During Leo's party. On the spare line I've been paying for. He blinked. The math caught up. Bree snorted. Emails can be faked. I slid the Sky Zone receipt next. $1,187. 36, Timestamp, 6:05 p.m. I paid for the party. Not upset about that, I said, calm and level. Glad I did. But I'm not paying for your line anymore. Mom sighed like someone had stepped on her favorite throw pillow. Nate, honey. Calm, I said. There's more. Next, the Zelle summary. $7,500 since January. Date. Amount. Memo. All neat. Then the bank alert screenshot from Saturday night. Your daily transfer limit is approaching. A dumb little message, but it looked official, like a red flag made of pixels. Bree rolled her eyes. Okay, so you helped. We love you for that. You love my card, I said. Her smile thinned. Don't be mean. I looked at Dad. You told me not to make a scene. I didn't. I'm making a boundary. He folded his arms like a disappointed manager. What boundary? No more spare line. No more group dinners on my card. No more just cover it till Friday. If I'm invited, I'll pay for me and Leo. That's it. Mom blinked like I just renounced Christmas. You're overreacting. And the phone? Bree cut in. We already set it up. Evan's contacts are in his school apps. You can't just. She trailed off because I slid the next sheet. Proof of car insurance. 2018 Hyundai Elantra. Titled to me. Still insured by me. Your car, I said to Bree. Technically mine. Bought it for you in 2022 when your credit was shot. Remember the promise? $250 a month? She said nothing. I got $250 in February. I said. Then nothing. Insurance is $126, $18 a month. If it's staying with you, I need the last 3 months and June's in advance. Or the keys stay with me. Mom stared at the paper like it was written in alien ink. Nate, she said slowly. What is this? I pulled out my keyring. Detached the second fob. The Elantras. Set it on the table like a poker chip. I'm not taking your car, I said. I'm taking my car. Until we have a written plan. That's not fair, Bree said, already climbing the ladder of outrage. It's not a punishment, I said. It's a line. Dad leaned back like someone had turned off the oxygen in the room. You're making your sister's life difficult. She made my son's birthday difficult, I said. I didn't make a scene. I made a plan. That's when it all started to shift. It didn't end with yelling. Or hugs. Real life's messier than movies. It ends with logistics, spreadsheets, and one brother deciding he's done being the helper everybody quietly bleeds dry. And by the time I slid that simple repayment form across the table, 1 page, 3 lines, spot for a signature, the air had changed. I didn't raise my voice. I raised the standard. The repayment plan was printed on plain white paper, no legalese, no drama. Just $126. 18/month to cover insurance, due on the 1st. $200 per month toward the car principal, due on the 15th. Zelle or cash only. No. Friends and family. Loopholes. If late by more than 10 days, the car stays parked until caught up. Signature lines at the bottom. One for her, one for me. Bree looked at it like it was a subpoena. This is insane. It's overdue, I said. Literally and figuratively. She gave a dry laugh. You want me to sign a contract to keep the car I drive to pick up my kid? No, I said. I want you to sign a contract to keep my car that you haven't made a payment on in 4 months. She looked to Mom for backup. Mom did the thing she always does, soft voice, tilted head, appealed to guilt. Nate, sweetie, your sister's had a hard year. Rick left. Rent's up. Evan's struggling. I know, I said. And I've helped. A lot. That's why I printed the numbers, so we could all see it. You don't have to be petty with receipts, she said. It's not petty to tell the truth, Jess said, sliding a fresh mug of coffee toward Mom. Her tone was calm, steel underneath. Bree scoffed. Oh, spare me the Saint Co-Parent Act. Jess didn't flinch. Just said, it's not an act. I tapped the first page again. The iPhone activation email. This is the only thing I care about today, I said. Return the phone or pay me back in full by Friday. I'm going to AT&T at lunch to move the spare line off my plan either way. And the car? Bree asked. When June is paid. I said. You can pick it up. Bree didn't move. Dad watched all of this like he was stuck in a bad HR training video. "You're really doing this?" he asked quietly. I nodded. "I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just not paying for other people's decisions anymore." Then Bree tried a different angle. "I could report the phone stolen," she said. "AT&T will. It's on my account," I said. "They'll talk to me." She turned to Mom again. "You're really letting him do this?" Mom started her soft talk again. "Nate, please think of Evan. He'll be devastated. You're punishing a child." I shook my head. "No. I'm protecting mine." Then I slid one last thing across the table. Not a document. A sentence. Yesterday at 4:37, Leo looked at the floor and pretended not to cry. Bree's jaw moved. No words came out. "It wasn't a toy," I said. "It was a moment. He learned that someone can grab what's his, and the adults will laugh. I can't let him learn that." That's when the silence hit. Even the fridge stopped humming, like the whole kitchen was holding its breath. Then Bree did what she always does when the emotional weight tips too far. She minimized. "You could have just told me you wanted it back," she said. "You didn't have to be dramatic." God. I exhaled through my nose and held out my hand. "Keys?" I said. She didn't move. Dad, who'd been quiet as a clock all morning, reached into his hoodie pocket and set the Elantra keys on the table himself. "Sign the paper, Bree," he said. "Or start walking." That was the shift. Not my emails. Not the receipts. Not even my speech. It was Dad saying it out loud. Drawing his own line. She looked at me. Then the paper. Then scribbled her name. Not because she agreed, but because she wanted the show to be over. "Fine," she muttered. "You win." "I didn't win," I said. "I just stopped playing." There were no fireworks. No applause. No dramatic storm out. Just logistics. At 11:05 a.m., I stood in line at the AT&T store on 41st. The guy behind the counter, blue shirt and tired eyes, asked how my day was going. "Boundary Day," I said. He nodded like he'd heard that before. I handed him my ID, the account number, and the printed iPhone receipt with the serial number circled. Within 15 minutes, the spare line was removed from my account and moved to a prepaid SIM card he pulled from a drawer. He printed out a confirmation sheet that read, "Account change completed, 11:22 a.m. Reference #A5942. I tucked it into my folder behind the signed repayment plan and the SkyZone bill. At 12:08 p.m., I called Apple support. Because sure enough, Bree had already flagged the iPhone as stolen and locked it remotely. The rep asked for proof of purchase and activation, so I calmly emailed over the Apple Store receipt, the point-of-sale invoice from 11:06 a.m. the previous day, and the activation confirmation tied to my Apple ID. "Got it," the rep said. "We'll remove lost mode and assign ownership back to your ID." Jess sat across from me on speakerphone, mouthing the words, "Don't apologize for existing." I didn't. Not once. At 1:40 p.m., I pulled the Elantra into the reserved spot behind our building, slid a printed sign onto the dash that read, "Not in use, do not tow," and took a photo for the record. Tulsa tow guys are the kind of proactive that borders on artistic. At 3:03 p.m., a Zelle ping lit up my phone. From Bree, $126. 18 memo insurance. Then 10 minutes later. From Dad, $300 memo, Evans camp installment. I didn't reply. I just added the payments to the family note, like a quiet accountant for a messy nonprofit with my last name. At 4:10 p.m., Leo came tumbling off the school bus, backpack half unzipped, clutching a shoebox diorama of a space base made entirely out of paper towel rolls, tinfoil, and glue. His face lit up when he saw the small white apple box waiting on the kitchen island. "You got it back?" "I did," I said. "We're gonna set it up together. Talk about rules. Can I call Grandma?" "In a minute," I said. "First, we pick your ringtone." He chose chimes, because, he said, it sounded like a polite robot. At 5:22 p.m., Bree texted, "I need the car for Evan's practice." I replied with a photo of the signed repayment plan and the $126. 18 receipt. "When June is received, you can pick it up." She texted back, "No. I need it tonight." I didn't respond. She called Jess. Jess didn't answer. She called Dad. Dad texted me a shrug emoji. Then she sent a voice note, started with, "Wow, Jack," and ended with, "You're really doing this." I saved it to my family folder and turned on Do Not Disturb. At 7 p.m., Mom called. I let it ring. She followed up with a text. "You're taking this too far." I typed back, "I'm not available for this conversation," then set the phone down. At 8:16 p.m., Leo and I sat on the couch. He was tucked under my arm, the new phone balanced on his knees. We ordered a $12.99 blue silicone case on Amazon together. Sunday delivery. I put his school contacts into favorites and let him test call Jess from across the room. "Mom," he said into the phone, giggling. "It sounds like the future." She laughed and cried at the same time. "It does," she said. And in that quiet moment, no birthday clapping, no shouting, no forced photos, my son learned what it feels like when something really is his. By day 3, the fallout started coming in like delayed artillery. At 9:40 a.m., Bree sent a string of texts. The theme? "I need the car today. I have a meeting. It's just sitting there. This is petty. Do you want me to lose my job?" I didn't reply. I forwarded the messages to the family folder and kept working. At noon, she sent another Zelle. $200 memo Elantra. Payment 2. Ahead of schedule. Amazing what happens when the keys aren't optional. At 2:18 p.m., I got a call from Mom. I let it go to voicemail. She tried again, then switched tactics. "Nate, your sister is very emotional right now. This punishment is excessive." I texted. "Not punishment. Terms. Already agreed to." She replied with just, "You used to be more understanding." No reply. Understanding is what put me $7,500 in the red since January. That evening, Leo was brushing his teeth when Jess leaned into the doorway and whispered, "What are you gonna do if Bree pushes harder?" "Same thing," I said. "Stay quiet. Stick to the plan. She's used to chaos." Jess said. "You're changing the script." "Exactly," I said. At 8:30 p.m., I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and labeled a new folder. Car Bree, 2025. I uploaded the signed repayment plan, payment receipts, a photo of the odometer, 43,188 miles, and a recurring monthly reminder, request photo of mileage on the 1st. It was clean. Simple. Civil. Bree would hate it. And I didn't care. The next morning, I switched out the Discover card that was on file at Skyzone, Smoke, our go-to restaurant, and Bree's old rental portal. Got a fresh one issued. New number. I didn't tell anyone. Just did it. At 3:50 p.m., my phone buzzed again. "Bree, I tried to log into AT&T. It says I'm not authorized anymore." "Me. Correct." "Her. Seriously?" "Me. Correct." She sent 3 dots. Never followed up. Later that night, Leo asked me to show him how to add songs to his favorites. We sat on the couch, side by side. I let him choose between playlists. He picked one called Space Beats, which I didn't know was a thing. It is now. At 9:12 p.m., he handed me the phone and asked, "Can I FaceTime, Mom?" "Sure," I said. She answered from her kitchen. Hair up, tired, smiling. Leo showed her the case, the one with Saturn on it. "It's so blue," she said. Leo nodded. "It's mine." It wasn't about the phone. It never was. It was about letting my kid believe that when something is meant for him, actually meant for him, it won't get snatched, repurposed, or reassigned for someone louder, older, or more entitled. It was about teaching him a word I never learned young enough. Boundary. Day 9, Bree showed up with $200 in an envelope and a face like she'd bitten a lemon. I handed her the keys, took a photo of the odometer and said, "Next check-in, 1st of the month." She didn't speak. Just drove off. The family group chat quieted too, fewer late night. "Can you help with?" texts. The spare line was gone. "My account?" Finally mine. The difference wasn't loud. It was a hum of peace. Not victory. Not revenge. Just quiet. And that quiet? That was the real gift. At Dad's birthday 2 weekends later, Bree showed up late but said nothing. Evan asked Leo, "Can I hold your phone?" Leo looked at me. I shrugged. "Your call." Leo smiled. "You can look at it, but not mine now." Evan laughed and handed it back. No scene. Just respect. Mom pulled me aside later, whispering, "You embarrass your sister." I shook my head. "No, Mom. I stopped subsidizing your daughter. That's different." She blinked, and for once, didn't have a comeback. Back home, I filed the signed car plan into a cheap Walgreens folder labeled Elantra. I taped the AT&T passcode inside my lockbox with our lease and passports. Every document had a place now. Even the Discover card, replaced, shredded, forgotten by everyone except me. That night, Leo curled up beside me, phone charging beside his bed. He asked, "Will Evan take it again?" I shook my head. "No, bud. Not anymore." He nodded and fell asleep with Saturn stickers on his pillowcase. The real shift came quietly. No announcement. Just fewer asks, more space. Mom sent me a photo of Leo and Dad at the park. No agenda, just joy. Bree made one late payment. The car stayed with me for 3 days. She fumed. I stayed calm. I learned that enforcement isn't cruelty, it's clarity. And clarity, as it turns out, is the kindest thing I've given this family in years. Not my card. Not my time. My line. And when Evan asked at the next birthday if Leo would share, Leo said sure, then added, "But it stays mine." That's when I knew. The message stuck. I didn't win. I just stopped bleeding slowly. I moved the phone bill, the car title, and my boundaries onto solid ground. Not as punishment. As policy. When people said, "Don't make a scene," I learned the real move was to make a system. I'm not a resource. I'm a person, with a budget, a spine, and a kid who deserves to see what self-respect looks like in action. And when the noise tried to creep back in, I didn't argue. I pointed to the receipt, turned off the ringer, and held my ground. And when Leo calls me from his mom's house now, just to say goodnight, or tell me Saturn has 145 moons, I hear it in his voice. That quiet assurance. That understanding that some things stay yours. That no one gets to take what was given with love and rewrite the rules. He says, "I love you, Dad," and I say it back. Then I hang up, exhale, and feel the peace of a life no longer built on silent sacrifice. The phone pings. Just one. From him. Night.